Hi everyone, this is Dan, and this is Adam Post's College of the Dead, and also Adam Post's College of the Dead Graduation Day. Very cool. Here you see me unboxing everything. Here I got to get my knife out. So again, Gemini mailer, pretty much the standard, coming from New York. Always thought, I think Adam Post always felt like he had like a New York accent. So glad to see that my instincts are correct. Anyhow, why the hell am I having a hard time opening this damn thing? What the hell did I do here? I think it's because I got ink everywhere. Whatever. No big deal. Anyway, you open this up and hey, he's got another tape in there. Make sure it definitely doesn't move around. Both are bagged and boarded. Very nice. And you can see here, all black motif, gloss finish. Very cool, though it does kind of, the glossy black does kind of annoy me because your fingerprints get on it and it kind of like, I don't know, it bugs my OCD sometimes, glossy finish just because your grubby hands get on it while you're reading it. Very cool Adam Post Media Group. So the first book is all black and white, which is not bad. It actually ends up being pretty cool. I do think it probably needs a little bit of zip-a-tone to give it some depth. When you do black and white, you should probably utilize shading layers and zip-a-tone. It's kind of like the way to quote-unquote color, right? Just kind of like Japanese manga. The second one is much smaller at only 48 pages, and it is in full color. Very cool. Both of them kind of exist in the same world, but they're two different stories, essentially. And they're both entertaining stories. There is something I do want to mention, though, about College of the Dead. Criticism of the first one is when you open up College of the Dead 1, it gives you sort of like a character introduction, and there's like 4 or 5 pages just dedicated to characters. And I'm not sure I like this, and the reason being is that, to me, I kind of, if you have like an opening page of introduction of characters, that works for like an ongoing series, like say manga and other types of stuff. Doesn't necessarily work for a comic book you're first trying to get into. I think in this case it would be better if the writer just found a way to introduce the characters more organically. That would be kind of my criticism. I don't know, some people, College of the Dead's actually been around for a while. This is, I got the package, I missed the first campaign. So this was probably resolved, and I know that the second book doesn't have this issue. The other thing I want to note is the College of the Dead uses a unique layout scheme, and that is the layout is the same on every page. For both the first and the second, though, they have different layout schemes between the book. The first book, College of the Dead, has basically a 2-panel layout scheme every page, and it's interesting, is what I'll say. It does work. I certainly didn't have a problem with it, and I read through it. I think what kind of helps you is that thankfully, the artist finds a way to kind of drive emotion and have something interesting in every panel. And that helps out a lot. Though I think there is one problem, I think, from the artist side, is that a lot of times you end up with panel after panel after panel of just people's just faces, right? And sometimes those faces can be a little weird or out of perspective. And it doesn't hurt the book too much, but it is something that does kind of wear on me when I was reading through it the first time. Writing is good, sometimes a little bit wordy in the beginning, but still enjoyable. And overall, the plot's really good in the first one. I actually really like the plot in the first one, and you actually do get into the characters very much in this first book. Very cool. I'm not so sure I'm happy about the ending, but overall, I enjoyed this book quite a bit. Now, going on to the second book. Second book, again, has a constant layout scheme. This case, it's 6 panels per page. Everything's in color, which I like. I kind of prefer color over black and white. Though if you do black and white right, it's fine. I certainly don't think you're hurting yourself by doing black and white. I will say, though, about the second book, I like the form factor a lot more. So 48 pages, that's the way to go. Full color, that's the way to go. Here's the one issue I have about the second book, and that is the layout scheme starts to get it starts to wear on you a little bit. And I think what helped in the first book was that the panels, even though there were only 2 per page consistently, they were kind of big, so you saw the action very well, and there was enough room in the panel to really show a lot of stuff. I don't really like the small panels, because there's 6 very small panels per page, and I'm not a fan of it in the second book. I think it actually kind of hurts the storytelling a lot of time, because from both the artist and the writer's perspective, they have to kind of figure out how to fit, cohesive storytelling through the 6 panels every time. And I think it would be better if instead the artist just was allowed to create the layout, or the writer kind of was, in a traditional full script or Marvel style script method. Especially in this case, because with the full colors, you really kind of want to fill the whole page. And I'm not saying it needs to be a full bleed comic. That's where all of the panels just go all the way to the edge of the page. But I really do think that it would be better if they broke out of this standard layout scheme. I understand that it really cuts down the costs, or I guess the complexity of the book if you do that. But I feel, especially for this particular story, there's a lot of scenes where people are kind of running around the campus looking for things, or there's big groups of zombies and whatnot. And I think that would be better served by much larger panels or panoramics, or maybe even 2-page spreads. I hate to feel all, 90s, 80s comics here, but yeah, I think bigger panels and spreads would have helped this book a lot more. The story in the second book is okay. I'm not really into the protagonist. He's all right, I guess is the right way to say it. The other characters are okay. There's a teacher in the second book that I just, he's a good sort of like villain, but he kind of annoys me. And I think the main character, Brendan, I kind of get where the writer's trying to go with this character as far as trying to get you into him, but I couldn't get into the character. He just wasn't nearly as interesting as the main character, Chloe, in the first book. Overall, though, I do think 48 pages in color is the way to go. I just think at this point, if you're going to go to a 6-panel scheme, you might as well just break the standard layout scheme and just let the artist and the writer just do whatever layouts they want, right, to tell the story. I think the freedom of expression would allow College of the Dead to really, really get very good. Because I think there's something here, definitely, at least in my opinion. I just think that layout scheme, it's kind of a cool, fun experiment, but I think, just blow it up and let the artist and the writer go crazy. Anyhow, that's the review. Let's get to the art. So I just did a fun comic in this case. I kind of, the ending of the first book kind of left it open to interpretation. So this is obviously just me joking around. The main character goes home after all the craziness to find her dad, and ends up with not the right result that she wanted. I was messing around with just working with the scheme that the book uses. So I did, in this case, a 2-panel scheme, and then I did flat coloring to get it in. A lot of fun. I'm actually getting a lot faster at flatting. Normally, it takes me a while to figure it out, but this time I actually got the flatting done in a reasonable amount of time. Really, the goal, you should try to aim to flat a page in an hour or something like that if you can, if you're really efficient. In my case, I'm not very efficient. Pencils were really fast on this one. It took me maybe 30 minutes. Once again, inks are the hardest part, and I'm not happy with the inks, especially the perspective is right in the first panel, but the overall figures I'm not too happy with. Not happy with the way Chloe looks in that first panel. Almost wanted to throw more words in there just because I was like, ugh. Second panel I'm actually very happy with, though. I thought I did a pretty okay job there. Anyhow, that's a review. Let me know what you think. If you liked the video, please hit the thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't subscribed. Hit the bell for notifications. If you got any comments about College of the Dead by Adam Post, or I forgot to mention, Adam Post is technically the publisher. College of the Dead is his idea, his IP. But he hires a writer, in this case, Stefan Petrucha, and Javier Aranda as the writer and the artist to actually make the book for him. Interesting sort of configuration there, but I forgot to mention that. Anyhow, yeah, that's the video. If you have any comments, leave them down below. And I will see you next time.